Hey guys, Andy Broom, Vice President of CGC Cards, and you're listening to the Sports Card Strategy Show, and there's no off season.
This is Cody from Texas Roadshow Shop, and you're listening to the Sports Card Strategy Show, part of the NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Network, the number one place for advice on how to make money flipping sports cards. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, there is no off season.
What's up, everybody? I'm Paul Hickey with NoOffSeason.com. This is the Sports Card Strategy Show. Don't forget to get a free 30-day trial at NoOffSeason.com today to help you make money flipping sports cards, build your sports card investment portfolio, get unlimited advice from our experts, and take sports card school to navigate the hobby. That's NoOffSeason.com. Get your free 30-day trial today. All the data we use on the Sports Card Strategy Show is from MarketMoversApp.com. Use code NOOFFSEASON at MarketMoversApp.com to get 20% off for life after a free 14-day trial. All right, let's get to the Sports Card Strategy. Monday, August 19th. What is up, NoOffSeason.com fam? Welcome to the Sports Card Strategy Show. I'm Paul Hickey, your host, and we're going to get into how to make money flipping sports cards. But on today's episode, we're going to talk about the Fanatics Fest recap. Many of you want to know, what was it like to be at Fanatics Fest? Many of you also DM'd me, hey, Paul, could you talk a little bit about Fanatics Fest versus the National? So we're going to get into that a little bit as well. We're, of course, going to talk about the top 5 cards to buy raw and grade. And we've got a special theme today, a special quarterback that I think is very, very relevant here on Monday, August 19th. And then another player that's very, very relevant, but a totally different sport, women's basketball. Yeah, we're going to talk about Caitlin Clark and the PANINI Instant WNBA Draft Night play. Lefty and I made it. Hopefully you guys made it as well, because her PANINI Instant PSA 10s are popping off on eBay and at card shows. We're going to talk about that. And speaking of popping off on eBay and at card shows, Gardner Minshew Mania, named the starter in Las Vegas for the Raiders over Aiden O'Connell for now, and we all know that these are the kind of hype cycle markers that indicate it could be the time to sell. Text sports cards to 1-833-992-5727 to see if we send out a Minshew sell alert this week, but as of now, it's looking like we will. Many of his cards are already listed on eBay and looking to sell for a profit based on where the formula told you to buy them a couple months ago. Lefty bought in, did you? If so, you're making money and you're welcome. We're going to get into all of that, and we're going to talk about Fanatics Fest. Was it worth it? Let's talk about our major partner, CGC Cards, that was all over Fanatics Fest. Are you ready to start grading your cards? CGC Cards is the perfect place to slab your favorite sports cards. From their crystal clear holders to their affordable pricing, CGC Cards is the perfect stop for your grading needs. Go to cgccards.com to start grading today. CGC Cards did a phenomenal job at Fanatics Fest. One of the best things that anyone did from a marketing standpoint was what CGC did, sponsoring the lanyards. This means that every single attendee was sporting CGC and JSA's logo and branding around their neck. Well done, CGC Cards. So everyone at the event was sporting the CGC and JSA logo, which I thought was brilliant branding by our friends at CGC. Nice work. And before I get into my Fanatics Fest recap in terms of was it worth it going to Fanatics Fest, I'm going to break down my total cost. I'm going to break down my flips. Was I able to pay for my trip cost with my flips? We'll get into that in a second. But I want to give a shout out to all of my friends in the hobby. So many of you I've been friends with for a long time. Some of you are new friends. So let's shout out some of the old friends that are becoming better friends. Ziggy is an old friend. Ziggy is a supporter of the channel. Ziggy and I have had productive conversations. We know each other. We have mutual respect. Well, I spent time face to face with Ziggy. We stayed at the same hotel, coincidentally. But before that, we were DMing each other about wanting to meet up, wanting to get some FaceTime with each other. Well, I got more FaceTime with Ziggy than anyone else at Fanatics Fest, and it was phenomenal. So thank you, Ziggy. Thank you for all you do for the hobby. You definitely have passion. You have vision. You have understanding, and I respect you. You and I became tighter. We were already tight, but we became tighter at Fanatics Fest. So that's what it's all about. Al from Waxstat, same thing. Old friend, kind of knew each other, met at the National, met even more and spent more time together at Fanatics Fest. Al from Waxstat, great guy. Coincidentally, stayed at the same hotel Ziggy and I did. All the CGC Cards people were at the same hotel that we were at. It was phenomenal community getting together in Manhattan, just being in such a condensed area with each other. It was a lot of fun, a lot of great people in the hobby. Speaking of old friends, Duke Denny One Time Dodson and Fitz from Graybos. Had dinner with them. Great guys. Spent a lot of time with those guys. They're like really good friends now. And I mean, they were before, but I mean, just solidifying that friendship and that relationship. They're doing great things over at Graybos. So I highly recommend that you all support Graybos sports cards, whether it be buying on their website, graybos.co, whether it be breaking with them on Fanatics Live, whatever you do to support Graybos, whether it be checking out their new shop in Richmond, Virginia. They are obviously great people doing great things in the hobby. And new friends. Let's get to some new friends. The guys from 5 Card Guys. The guys from Cards to the Moon. Phenomenal human beings. And Denny Cards. Great guy as well. Had a great conversation. Mac Card Collection on Instagram. Mac also works with Graybos a little bit. Mac came around. We were hanging out with Clark, Young, Denny. Great conversations. I mean, just phenomenal content creators. The people that I bought cards from, I mean, back to old friends, Chase and Cody Krim. They did a deal with Jake Paul for $22,000. Maddox Yost and I, speaking of old friends, new friends, Maddox Yost and I dropped our repack. NoOffSeason.com's first ever repack product went very well. We sold out. We did the reveal. We did it live from Fanatics Fest. We played it back later at night for those of you who missed it. Thanks to all of you who bought into that. But as Maddox and I were revealing the repack, Jake Paul was doing his deal right next to us with Chase and Cody. It was insane. It was really cool. So it was great to see Chase and Cody. Jimmy Mahan from Roadshow Cards. Adam Rips from V-Friends. Tyler Schmidt from VaynerX. I mean, just got to see so many people. I mean, I want to shout out everybody. Jim Sutto of the NoOffSeason.com fam. Met him face to face. Spent time with him. I want to give a shout out to somebody else. Jason Gillespie from Sports Card Machines. Just a great guy, great vendor. And, so many great vendors out there. So many nice people. Just thanks to all of you that are listening to the pod today. Quick friendly shout out to Nash Cards, my guys Chris, Riley, and Wade. Can't forget Prism God and Prism Goddess. And I want to shout out Irwin, a member of the NoOffSeason.com fam. Thank you for the Spartan Stadium Upper Deck card. Also Johnny from J&J's Cards on IG. Great seeing all of you. And thank you for all of your support. So let's get into now the Fanatics Fest recap, okay? Was it worth going to Fanatics Fest? And I'm not talking about anecdotally or from a feel-good standpoint, was it worth going to Fanatics Fest? I would say 100% yes, it was. And we'll get into that. We'll get into the touchy-feely stuff here in a second. But let's get into the numbers, okay? So breaking down my total cost in terms of was it worth going to Fanatics Fest? So here's my cost. So the VIP pass cost $400. And I decided to just get the VIP pass because it looked like it would be worth it in terms of getting in a little bit early each day, getting a VIP gift bag. At the National, there's a VIP room. So I wanted to see, like, is the VIP pass worth it? So I wanted a VIP pass for $400 to see if it was worth it. Now, there were bigger packages than that, and I'm really glad I didn't get one of the bigger packages. I don't really have that kind of money in general and in my family funds or in the business funds to justify a larger package. I'm on the grind. I'm not splurging unnecessarily. Now, I was a bit concerned about finding a hotel in Manhattan. I was able to find a reasonably priced hotel for around $450 and around $250 in round-trip flights from Nashville to LaGuardia and LaGuardia back to Nashville. A little bit of some kinks there we'll get to in a second. For those of you watching, you're noticing that I'm not in my normal office podcast studio. For those of you watching on youtube.com/Paul Hickey, you notice that I am not at home right now. And we'll get to that in a second. But so my total cost, really, without some of the ancillary stuff like Ubers and meals and things like that, was $1,050. So keep that number in mind. We'll revisit it in a second. There were some ancillary costs because some of the travel on the way home got delayed. So I had to book an extra night in a hotel room, which I am still in right now. And I think that was only $70, believe it or not, thanks to my lovely wife, who was able to just jump right on after my flight got canceled, book me a hotel room pretty close to LaGuardia, $70. I think I'm going to be in okay shape in this hotel room until I get back to Nashville. Southwest rebooked my flight for free, knock on wood. Hopefully I get home okay. I'm not home yet, but some ancillary Uber costs that were unforeseen due to the travel delay, ancillary hotel costs that were unforeseen due to the travel delay, probably totaling around $150 to $200, including like some extra meals, which I would have had to buy at home anyway, meal costs and all that stuff. So I'm not including that in the $1,050, but you could just say $1,200 if you really wanted to get into the details. But so was it worth going to Fanatics Fest from a economic standpoint? Okay. Let's get into just some flips of the wax that was exclusive to the event. Okay, before we get into my card purchases, am I up or down on my card purchases and sales, things like that at the event, let's get into just exclusive wax flips. So, okay, all 3 days, Topps dropped a hobby box and a blaster box of Fanatics Fest exclusive Topps Chrome baseball. Okay. You were able to stand in line right at the beginning of each day and get one of each product if you wanted to, and you had to buy them. And it totaled about $380 each day. I did this on Saturday and Sunday. I was not able to do it on Friday because my flight didn't land until 10 a.m. So I actually didn't get to the Javits Convention Center until around noon on Friday. But we'll get into what I did on Friday here in a second. But what I did on Saturday and Sunday is immediately I came in, bought the Fanatics Fest exclusive Topps Chrome wax, the hobby and the blaster box for $380, and immediately sold it to David Adams for $520 on each day, twice, Saturday and Sunday. So that is $140 profit each day. So $280 total dollars earned now. And we're going to add this all together. So 280. Now, there was a exclusive hat box, which some of you may see on eBay. If you go to eBay and you search New Era, Mitchell and Ness, Fanatics Fest exclusive player chase hats is basically what they're called. You could buy a box of them every day. Now, they only released a limited amount of these hats on Friday and Saturday. There weren't any left on Sunday. And so I was able to get a box on Saturday. They're $250 a box. I sold it to some random dude for $300 later on in the day. Kind of a funny story. Was hanging out with Clark and Hayoung and Denny, and some guy approached me, asked about the box. I said, look, you could probably just get this for $250 tomorrow. And he's like, no, I'll pay you cash right now. What do you want for it? I said $325. He said, would you do 3? I said, sure. Because I'm walking around with a box of hats, pretty darn cool hats, by the way. And there was a Topps Chrome pack inside exclusive to Fanatics Fest. So you could basically open up hats, and there were one-of-one hats. There were autograph hats, limited supply of the autograph hats that were dropped into these. I don't think many people pulled really valuable hats, but some of the hats are selling on eBay for a pretty good amount of money. So the New Era Mitchell and Ness Fanatics Fest exclusive hats were actually a thing that you could profit on. So I profited $50 flipping my box of hats. And now the big one. So now we're at what are we up to now? We're at 280 plus 50, so 330. We're going to add this up here in a second. So the big one, the best move I made. Some of you may have seen it on my IG stories at Sports Card Strategy on IG. Follow me there if you're not yet. I'm starting to put out better content on the IG account and would love your feedback on all of that. But the Cactus Jack Topps Chrome box, Now, for all you middle-aged men out there who don't know who Cactus Jack is, it's Travis Scott. And if you still don't know who Travis Scott is, it doesn't really matter. He has 57 million Instagram followers, and he is one of the hottest artists on the planet, believe it or not. And he has people who want his Topps Chrome baseball cards. So there's exclusive Topps Chrome baseball Cactus Jack box. It was like 4 cards, tiny box, not a big hobby box, but a tiny box. You can go to my Instagram profile and probably still see pictures of it. And the Cactus Jack box cost $350. It might have cost a little bit less than that. It was actually like $330. So my profit, I'm nicking myself on some profit here. Let's say I had $950 here in my show notes. Let's say $970, because what I did was I took the Topps Chrome Cactus Jack box over to Dave and Adams. They were paying $1,000. As soon as I got up to Dave and Adams, they said, look, I'm really sorry, but we're not paying $1,000 for these boxes anymore. We have too many of them. We're only going to pay $800 from now on. And I was like, ooh, boy. And I looked on eBay. These Fockers on eBay were selling for like $2,000. Okay. So I'm thinking, I'll just list mine on eBay. No problem. So that's what I did. I listed it on eBay, but I walked around the show. I didn't stop there. I walked around the show. eBay, $2,000, buy it now or best offer. Walked around the show, saw some people were paying $1,000 for it. Maybe heard some people would pay $1,200 for it. Heard random vendor table, 3 younger guys saying, we'll pay you $1,300 for it. Well, the guy that they were saying that to was right in front of me at their table, and he wanted $1,400, and he wouldn't budge off the $1,400, and they wouldn't budge off the $1,300. So he walked away, and I immediately said, I'll do $1,300 for it. So they shelled out $1,300 cash, and I immediately made $970 profit, flipping the Topps Chrome Cactus Jack Travis Scott box in about 20 minutes. I made $970 profit. So that was a phenomenal flip for me. And now I'm thinking, wow, I think I am paying for this entire trip if I can keep this up. Now, what's interesting about that story, little sidebar lesson off of that story, everyone, because the man in front of me who wanted $1,400 and wouldn't budge off the $1,400 came back later and asked the guys, would you, like when I say later, I mean like 5 minutes later, came back and asked the guys, would you do $1,300 now? I'll take $1,300. And they said, I'm so sorry. We just bought 50 more of these and we don't want any more. We're not paying $1,300 that we were offering you 5 minutes ago. And apparently they were on the phone. One of them was on the phone with a buddy, and that's how they got that many that fast. But it doesn't matter. They weren't going to give this guy $1,300 anymore. This was only 5 minutes later. So I'm standing next to this guy and he's telling me, well, I wanted $1,400 because I just paid $1,100 for it. Now, remember, everybody, I only paid $330 for mine. How did I pay $330 for mine? Because I got the VIP pass and I won a raffle where only VIPs were eligible to win the raffle that gave us the ability to purchase a Cactus Jack box. So I was able to get mine for $330, flipped it, made $970 total net profit off of that flip. And my friend, well, not literally my friend, but my new friend, figuratively in front of me in line, was out. He was out, and he was sitting there with the box that he paid $1,100 for. He was trying to squeeze out that extra $100. He could have made $200 profit in probably, the boxes had just been sold. So he probably could have made $200 profit in 20 minutes, whereas I made $970 profit in 20 minutes. He could add $200 profit in 20 minutes. If you do that math, that's an insane hourly rate, right? Even $200 in 20 minutes is an insane hourly rate. He passed on it, and then he's holding the box for $1,100. I told him, look, man, I know that sucks, but if you list it on eBay, these things are going for about $2,000. I think you're going to be okay. But little lesson learned there. The deal's not always on the table. The deal is not always on the table, especially in the sports card market, because we're dealing with individuals here most of the time. Now, even when we're dealing with businesses, these businesses are very small businesses. These businesses are like either local card shops, or they're vendors at a card show, or they're individuals running a business. So either way, we're dealing with, it's kind of peer-to-peer in this hobby most of the time, unless you're buying directly from a manufacturer or a distributor. Even when you're buying into a break, you're buying singles, you're buying wax, you're dealing with people, right? Peer-to-peer. So what that means is people, even though they're spending a lot of money on sports cards, people don't have unlimited funds. They can't just keep buying and buying and buying. So even these guys who are buying up all these Cactus Jack boxes, they weren't going to continue to pay the same rate, right? So the point is, when a deal's in front of you, and that's going to make you a ridiculous amount of money, you take the deal, because it might not always be there. So that was a big lesson that I learned. I kind of already knew it, but a big lesson validated right there. Now, another thing I did that I thought was really smart, and I got to give Ziggy props. But Ziggy doesn't really want that many props. He's actually a pretty humble guy, and he doesn't want the attention. But I got to give Ziggy props here, because he had these Topps packs, right? So you could go. The other thing you could do is you could go to Topps, and you could sort of participate in whatever little thing they needed to do. They had this little bunt app promotion. You could get a scratch off to win something and maybe get some free Fanatics Fest New York City Topps Chrome baseball packs. They're kind of like the National Silver packs. Ziggy was like, hey, do you guys have any more of those packs left? The guy gave him a few, and I was like, what about me? Can I get a couple free packs? So he gave me a couple free packs. I listed them on eBay for $25 for the 2 packs total, and sold on eBay in a best offer accepted for $20. So my total wax flipping profit was $13.20. That's total, just wax, just being at the event, trying to be smart, buying and flipping the wax within 20 to 30 minutes of when I bought it was $13.20. So what that tells all of us is the total cost of me coming to Manhattan, going to Fanatics Fest, VIP pass, hotel, flight, $10.50. Total wax flipping profit, $13.20. So we're looking at a $250 to $300 total profit. So basically, that's what I got paid. That's what I paid myself. I earned about $300 total profit to come to this event. Right now, for me, and probably for many of you and many of the people that I named on this show, that I'm giving props to, it's a networking event, right? We all have brands, whether we realize it or not. Some of us are trying to grow our brands harder than others. Me being one of them, right? I'm networking at this event. I'm talking to a lot of people. I'm buying from them. I'm doing deals with them. I'm supporting them, but I'm also saying, hey, I've got this podcast called the Sports Card Strategy Show. I'd love it if you check it out. Let me know what you think. In fact, Clark and He-Young were kind of laughing at me, because laughing at me in a positive way, because they had never seen me do this before. And they were actually giving me some props for this. They were basically I told them whenever, and Lefty knows this, and so does Interner and Connor, whenever I make a deal at a card show, whenever I make any kind of deal at a card show, whether I'm buying or whether I'm selling, I always counter, when I know that I'm going to make the deal, I always counter offer, right? quote unquote counter offer. And the counter offer is, yes, I will do this, but you have to listen to my podcast. And I give them a business card because I'm a little old school like that. Give them a business card with all my information on it, my cell phone number, my email, my Instagram handles, obviously, like how you can find the show on youtube.com/Paul Hickey, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, right? But they liked that, right? The guys from Cards to the Moon liked that because they said, wow, you're getting your brand out there. So the networking for me at these card shows is huge. And I think a lot of you, even though you're not necessarily trying to grow your brand, you're trying to learn and you're trying to make money flipping sports cards. That's why you listen to the Sports Card Strategy Show. You understand what I'm saying, because the more people that are in your network, A, the more fun it is, and B, the more money you can make because you have more people helping you out. You have more information coming your way, more connections, and you can make more money that way. Not that you're going to charge your friends more money, but that you just know more people and you have more information. And so you can make more money just like in any other business. That's how business works, right? And so you have more value because you have more information and you can help, and you have more people that you can help. So the networking for me is critical. So now we're looking at a situation where I get to do what I love, have fun, run a business, etc. So now let's get into what I did on Friday and Saturday. Saturday was a little different. We'll save that for later. Let's talk about Friday and Sunday. First of all, Friday, when I walked in around noon, like it was clear that one entire side of the show was dedicated to fans. Like it was a fan experience. Like if you've ever been to a city that's hosted the Super Bowl, during the lead up week of the Super Bowl, there's all these fan events. And you might be able to run a 40-yard dash. You might be able to try and throw a touchdown pass on like a little mini football field. You might like those kinds of events. But picture a UFC octagon, a WWE entrance. I mean, pretty badass, pretty cool stuff that they had. A basketball court, like indoor 3-on-3 basketball courts, all sorts of stuff like WNBA, Sports Illustrated. You had the ability to make your own hats at a New Era location, or a Lids location with a lot of New Era products. So for those of you watching right now on youtube.com/Paul Hickey, this is what I'm talking about. I was able to customize my own hat. So it's a Fanatics Fest exclusive Sports Card Strategy Show hat that I'm wearing on today's episode, and I am pumped about it. So stuff that you wouldn't be able to do at the National. This is cool stuff. But then on the other side was a card show. And in between that was what they called the Topps Hobby Hall. No Panini presence at this, mind you. No Panini presence. No eBay presence either, which I thought was interesting. And here's why, because you had Fanatics Collect. And if you guys remember, Fanatics Collect is actually PWCC. And do you remember, everyone, about 3 years ago when PWCC, now Fanatics Collect, was kicked off of eBay? I wonder if the reason why eBay wasn't there is because this is a Fanatics event. And now Fanatics owns PWCC and has rebranded it Fanatics Collect. So now you have Fanatics Collect there, not eBay. You have Topps there dominating with no Panini presence. So very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Where at a show like the National, you have everyone. But at a show like Fanatics Fest, you only have really Fanatics partners, right? CGC was there. PSA was there. SGC Tag, they were there. I didn't really see any other grading companies. You had Mike Baker Authentication, right? So MBA, Mike Baker. You had Mr. Minty. So you had some other sort of more corporate services. And then other than that, you had vendors, right? So there were some presentations, and the presentations were okay. They were okay, right? I don't want to rip on anybody, but the presentations were okay. And I think everybody doing the presentations probably did the best they could. But at an event like that, it's a little hard to come off valuable in those presentations. Now, on Friday, it was like a card show. It was like a startup card show. Like I'm telling you, it's kind of weird to say this, but you guys want the real talk. That's why you come to the Sports Card Strategy Show. Real talk was Good card show on Friday, but like probably a little disappointing if you were a vendor, because it was like you paid $3,000 to be a vendor to set up a table, but the crowd was like smaller. Like it was like a third of the crowd that you would get at like Culture Collision, the Nashville show, the Dallas show. Like it was a third of the size of a card show of those. So it was like a small card show, like a very small local card show, but with like big vendors that go to the national, right? And that set up at like some of the major card shows around the country. And so it was a little bit, I would imagine it was a little bit awkward for them. Now, for me on Friday, I was able to, as soon as I hit the show floor at about noon, I just immediately started buying a bunch of stuff. So we'll get into my pickups here, and I'll kind of walk you through day by day Fanatics Fest. So my pickups on Friday, I think, made me even more money than flipping the wax, getting that profit of around $300 that we talked about, doing the networking. I'm already winning. Now check out the cards I got. So I paid $200 for a CJ Stroud 2023 Optic Hollow SGC 9.5. Those are going for about $230, so I feel like I'm up $30. I paid $100 for a Victor Wembanyama 2023 Panini Prism PSA 10. Those are going for about $120, so I'm up another $20 there. I paid, this is not a flashy card, but a Wemby 2023 Select Blue Retail PSA 10, paid $20. Those are going for about $40, so I'm up another $20. Lamar Jackson 2018 Panini Prism PSA 8.5, which you don't see very often, paid $20. Those are going for around $40, even though there's no real 8.5s. If you look at like raw prices, PSA 8, PSA 9 sort of averages, giving it about a $40 valuation, so up another $20 there. Now, I did some of those were bulk. That one was a bulk deal, actually, which is why I was able to drive a lot of those prices down and be up. Another bulk deal I did with just 2 cards, Garrett Wilson, 2022 Panini Prism Auto SGC 1010. No real comps on that. And then a Anthony Richardson 2023 Prism Green PSA 10, which is a super liquid card. So those 2 cards purchased for say $157.50 each, got around a $250 value on the Garrett Wilson, so up $92.50 on that, around a $200 value on the Richardson Green Prism PSA 10, so up $42.50 on that. One purchase is not super liquid card, but I think a card that everybody wants is a Bijan Robinson 2023 Obsidian Black Color Blast PSA 10, super short print. I know you guys probably want to see these cards. I'm not holding them up right now, but they are posted on my IG at Sports Card Strategy. So check them out and comment. On the Bijan Robinson, we all kind of agree at the show that it's a $1,000 card, even though there's not really comps because it's such a low pop card. CJ Stroud 2023 Prism Silver PSA 10. This is a card I've been on record as just wanting this card, right? I did a bulk deal with GR8, Great Sports Cards. His name is Logan. He's a great guy. Anthony Richardson Prism Silver PSA 10 is another card I've been buying up. So those 2 cards, $1,350 total. So $900 on the Stroud. That's a $970 to $1,000 card. So I'm up $70 there. That Richardson is a $500 card. So I'm up another $50 there. Did a bulk deal with a guy named Harlan Binder, HB_cards_collections. 2 Joe Burrow 2020 Prism PSA 10s, 125 each. So up 50 total bucks on that, because those are each around $150 cards if I were to go by recent comps. Jaspy's Sports Cards, did a deal with them. Paolo Banchero 2022 Contenders Rookie Ticket Auto. It's a $415 card, got it for $375, so up $40 there. Lamar Jackson 2018 Donruss Rated Rookie PSA 10. New vendor I had never heard of before, Legends Sports and Games. Nice people. It's a $105 card, got it for $90, so up $15 there. Jason Tatum 2017 Optic Hollow PSA 10. This is what I bought from Sports Card Machines. $250. Reason why, the formula likes it. The already graded formula really likes it. Now they like it at around the just under $240, but I figure, look, I'm going to have to pay a little bit of shipping on that. $250 is right at that target cost that the formula is still going to tell me that I'm going to make about 40% on it. if I hold it until October or May. So Jason from Sports Card Machines wouldn't go below 250, but I feel like I'll make money following the formula on that, since it's within $5 to $10 of the target cost in the already graded formula-based rankings. 20, and then that was Friday. So Friday I picked up all those cards. Now, Saturday I almost made some deals, but I didn't. I almost did a deal with my guy Jason, who I sat next to on the plane back from the National, and his brother, great guy. And Jason, you have my info, so definitely holler at me. I was remembering, like, just his, some people, like, you see their face and you're like, I've seen this guy like 14 times. And then I finally put it all together when I was talking to Jason, almost doing the deal. It's kind of funny because he comped out all the cards that I just walked you all through. And it was funny because, like, he offered me a total of maybe $10 to $15 profit on all the cards I just mentioned. And I could have taken all that money back and made like added $10 to $15 onto my net total of 300 and some. But I figured I'd rather have these cards because I think they're going to go up in value. I think I made the right call. Jason agreed, but we just kind of had a nice laugh on that. I hope to do more deals with Jason at the Lighthouse Show in Nashville. Sometimes they call it the small show. The big show is the Nash National. We'll both be set up there. So Jason, I'll see you around, man. Almost did a deal with him. But Saturday, I think dealers were a little frustrated. I talked to a lot of dealers, and dealers were like falling asleep at their tables. There were like empty tables. I mean, just real talk. Like, it wasn't, and for some reason, I kind of knew it was going to be this way because Fanatics marketed it so hardcore as a fan event. So I think everybody had the optimism on Friday when they got there that when more people showed up on Saturday, because the crowds on Saturday and Sunday were definitely bigger than Friday. And I think all the vendors, I'm not going to speak for all the vendors, but I think the general vibe that I got from talking to the vendors was that most of them thought that there would be so much overflow from the fan side of the house into the card side of the house that they would be able to empty their tables well and sort of indoctrinate new people into the hobby. Well, I do think there was some of that. But what I saw and what I experienced, because I'm paying close attention to this, to want to report back on it and just know about it myself, that didn't really happen to the level that the hyperbole, I think, on Friday thought it would, and the optimism on Friday thought it would. So what you had at the end of the day Saturday were a lot of exhausted, frustrated vendors having to have educated new they felt like they had to educate new potential hobbyists on why it wasn't 1988, 1989 anymore. Like, why it wasn't 1991. Why the prices had gone up so much. And that it was a market, that it was a new market now, and that it was a post-pandemic market that has really settled down. So it really does make sense to buy into a lot of these cards. And so I think a lot of the vendors felt frustrated might be the wrong word, but probably exhausted. And probably like they didn't get their $3,000 worth, to be honest with you. Maybe they got some branding out of it. Maybe they got some exposure out of it, some validation, because not everybody had an invite to be a vendor. Quite frankly, if anyone out there is listening that can help me become a vendor at one of the next Fanatics Fest, I would like to be. And I would probably pay the $3,000 because for me, it could be worth it from a branding and promoting of the Sports Card Strategy Show standpoint. And I would probably invite some of our premium members at nooffseason.com to have some free table time with me at that event, or at future events, maybe not Fanatics Fest events. But what I would like to know is, like, why were there empty tables? Like, there were empty vendor tables. There were empty vendor tables on Friday. No joke. I actually sat down at one of them and got my cards out and put them in a showcase and tried to flip my cards. I wasn't going to do that on Saturday and Sunday, but I saw a lot of empty tables. Why are there empty tables? Maybe because they charge $3,000. But at an event like this, why are there empty tables on the card show portion? I mean, to me, that's a bit of an overlooked gap, right? Either invite more, like open it up to more people that will set up because they want more exposure. They want more validation. They want to set up at more card shows, right? They want to try new things with their business. Fanatics, like, open it up. I got nothing but respect for all the vendors that were there. I literally spent time, probably at least a few minutes at every single vendor table, talking to the vendor, getting to know them, making friends with them, supporting them, right? Not doing deals with all of them. You can't do that, but just talking to them, understanding what's going on. And so that's why I feel like I can report back on this vibe from Fanatics Fest. Not a great card show. Let's just pinpoint it at that. Not a great card show. A great event? Yes. A great event? Yes. Is it positive from a getting new people into the hobby standpoint? One baby step at a time. You can't expect fans to come into a fan event and spend money on cards the first time. Let's just make the hobby stronger, right? Now, I know that that's not really quantifiable, but to those of us that are in it, we know what that means. We see it, we feel it, we touch it, we hear about it, we know about it. Let's make the hobby stronger. Fanatics, keep it up. Keep it up. Overall, great job at Fanatics Fest. Could the VIP package have been stronger? Yes. Did I have to hustle and scrap to make it worth it? Yes. So the VIP gift bag sucked. Compared to the National, it was basically 4 retail packs of Topps Heritage Baseball. That was the VIP gift bag. The other thing that was weird is I asked all my new and old and new hobby friends that I was telling you about at the opening. I asked them, like, how'd you guys get these press passes? Well, shout out to Clark from 5 Card Guys and Cards to the Moon. He's like, there's just a form online. And I'm like, I probably just missed it, right? And we were laughing about that. So do I like that I got the VIP thing? Do I like that I grinded and made this money? Yes. Do I like that there's the opportunity to do that at shows like Fanatics Fest? Absolutely. Would I have loved the VIP package to be more like it was at the National? So for those of you who don't know, go back a couple Mondays ago and listen to my National recap episode, the Monday after the National, and listen to that episode. I believe it's July 29th on the Sports Card Strategy Show library. Go back and listen to that one, because I break down how valuable the National VIP package was, and this one wasn't. Fanatics Fest wasn't. Was it a good event? Yes. Was it better access to food, better access to bathrooms, more space? Yes. But part of that is because there weren't as many people there. There really weren't as many people there. There's probably, I'm guessing, but estimating that it was probably like a third, maybe 20%. 20 to 30% of the people that were at the National were at Fanatics Fest. So it's not there from a card show standpoint yet, but I think everyone would probably agree that we should keep working to make it a better card show, and we should keep trying to make the hobby stronger and supporting these types of Fanatics Fest events. Now on Sunday, I was kind of thinking, I'm going to go in and flip my wax again. I'm going to go to the airport. I'm going to make it home Sunday night. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But on the positive side, I made some really strong purchases on Sunday. One was a Victor Wembanyama Optic Base PSA 10. So nothing fancy at all. Figueroa Collectibles LLC on Instagram. Shout out to you guys. $70 for that card. It's a $73 most recent comp. So I'm plus $3 on that. I think we all think it'll probably go up a little bit in October. Because it's just an Optic base card, it doesn't have a huge upside. It could be a $100 card, probably max during the basketball season or during the playoffs. If Wemby were to lead the Spurs into the playoffs, it could be a $110 card maximum. Probably not going to dip below the 70, which is probably why Figueroa wanted a little bit more than that, but I was able to just stick firm at 70 and get that card. Now, another thing I was able to do to stay firm is I was able to, I'm going to try to just really quick pull this youngster's information up. I got it. Here it is. I got it right in front of me in my show notes. So PDP Slabs, youngster on IG. There's a lot of great young people in the hobby. If you've been to card shows recently, you would probably agree with me in that it's not there's not kids that you want to give stuff to. There's kids that are sharks. They're frickin' sharks already. And this youngster, I would say, is more trying to be a shark, which more power to him. PDP Slabs, shout out, had a beautiful 2022 Tagovailoa Contenders rookie ticket auto raw in great condition in a one-touch. Honestly, looked like it would gem. Now, this one here is a perfect example of why you have to do the research. I had the comp already pulled up before I even asked him what he had on it. Always do that. Do the research before you go into the negotiation, right? This card has not gotten over 260 all summer. Maybe there's a $300 comp, but it's really a $260 card, right? But I think it's about to go up. Today is Monday, August 19th. I think it's about to go up. I like Tua. I want a little bit more Tua shares going into the next month, right? As the season starts, I want some shares of Tua, and I don't have that many. So I was looking for Tua on Sunday at Fanatics Fest. And this is a $260 card. And so I said, well, I said, what do you want on this? And he said, $500 or best offer. And I was just like, oh my God, there's no way I'm doing a deal with this kid. He's doubling this. And he thinks I'm a sucker. He thinks I'm a sucker that's going to double comps. They're going to 2x comps for a kid. Well, guys, you know I'm not that sucker. You know I'm not that sucker. I held firm at 260. The negotiation was like this. I'll pay you 260. That's the latest comp. And he goes, would you do 400? I go, I'll do 260. He goes, would you do 350? I go, I'll do 260. He goes, would you do 275? I go, I'll do 260. And he goes, done, and shakes my hand. And I'm like, all right, buddy, 260. Good deal. Thank you. You got to be fair. We can't be screwed over by little kids. Remember that. One more old friend who's probably listening to this show going, how have you not mentioned my name yet, you D-bag? Tim Larson. Tim Larson. I spent some phenomenal time with Tim Larson and his lovely wife on Friday. That was the light of my day on Friday afternoon before I met up with Ziggy at our hotel. Tim Larson. And Jeremy Lee of Sports Cards Live. I got to shake his hand and take a picture. Shortest guy in the hobby, me. Tallest guy in the hobby, him. Pretty funny photo. But Tim Larson, Signs of the Times Collectibles. Signs of the Times Collectibles 55, I believe is his IG handle. Check him out. Great guy. Great catching up with Tim Larson. I'm not a D-bag, Tim. And you know what I mean, Tim. You can't get screwed over by these little kids. You can't. Okay, now, shout out to my guy, Lefty. He and I told all of you to buy the Caitlin Clark Draft Night Panini Instant and grade them at PSA to be first to the market. We each made that play and are winning, and we hope you are too. PSA took a little longer than I would have expected. They kind of held them up in the review process longer, but as soon as they got into grading, then it went faster. And I got a massively high gem rate on these. I got 21 out of 25 gem mint PSA 10s. So I listed them right away. And they're already doing very, very well on eBay. And I talked to some of the vendors. A lot of the vendors had them out in their showcases in PSA 10 at the show. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. What are those going for? And they were telling me we've been selling these for between 100 and 150 bucks in PSA 10. So that's good news for all of us in the nooffseason.com fam and the Sports Card Strategy Show audience, because if you followed that play from us, we want to say you're welcome because you're making money on that. Hot at Fanatics Fest, hot on eBay, selling for $150 in PSA 10 at Fanatics Fest. Caitlin Clark, Panini Instant, DN1, PSA 10, holding up her Fever jersey on draft night. So, question of the day, did you go to Fanatics Fest? Let me know. Did you go to Fanatics Fest? Do you think I'm off? Do you think I'm close with my analysis? What's your take? What's your take on your analysis of Fanatics Fest from your point of view? Comment below right now at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. Or if you're listening on Apple and Spotify, DM me, Sports Card Strategy on Instagram. All right. Fanatics Fest versus the National. Just a quick recap. Smaller, more of a fan event, a startup card show. But dealers had to pay $3,000. Probably not worth it for them because it was like a third of the size of Dallas, Nashville, or Culture Collision from an actual card show perspective. Good deals on Friday and Sunday. Dealers seem super frustrated on Saturday. No real good deals movement on Saturday from my perspective. And unless Jake Paul made a $22,000 deal with you Saturday, Chase and Cody Krim, you might not have done so well. There were empty dealer tables. Kind of an empty card show, honestly. Great tops opportunities that I went through. No Panini presence, which was very interesting. Overall, a super fun event. Definitely recommend going. The VIP bag could have been much better. No VIP room. There's no VIP room that I liked the National, where you could have like your own access to sitting down, getting some food, going to the bathroom and in shorter lines, things like that. The VIP package is way better for the National than Fanatics Fest. All right. Let's go through some of our top sports card opportunities to buy raw and grade, which we do every Monday here on the Sports Card Strategy Show. Theme being CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud has to be today's theme because he's the quarterback right now that is probably getting the least amount of current attention in the NFL preseason, but he is the one. He's like the chosen one in the hobby throughout all of the offseason. And dating back to his amazing season last year as a rookie, he's the one that's probably expected to have the highest ceiling from a potential performance spike standpoint in 2024. And he's probably the one that most of us really expect to have the most performance spikes, to be an MVP candidate. But as you all know, I don't like to rely on those performance spikes. I like to rely on the fiscally responsible decisions related to making money flipping sports cards, which just simply is buy low, sell high, right card, right player, right time. So as we look at top 5 sports card opportunities to buy raw and grade, I think because Mr. Stroud, young Mr. Stroud, has such juice, such momentum heading into his second season, I think we can afford to still buy him raw and grade him and take a little bit of a risk. Because even if he does get injured, or even if he does come out to a little bit of a slow start, and our cards are sitting at PSA and they're tanking in value, I think by the time we get them back from PSA, he could be back. He could get hot. He could get hot in the playoffs. And looking at it the other way, even if we miss selling opportunities because CJ Stroud starts hot and our cards are at PSA, so we can't sell them, that could be even better because the positive lore around CJ Stroud will just continue to grow and grow. And when we get those cards back, he's still going to be CJ Stroud. It's historically proven. Pattern recognition is what I love the most. And it's historically proven that when a rookie top quarterback gets off to a hot start in their career, it takes a lot to put out that fire in the hobby. So I think some of the following CJ Stroud cards make sense to buy into. And for those of you who are premium members at nooffseason.com, you get all of this and a lot of information more than this. But for those of you who are not premium members, this is just a preview of what we do for you in your premium package. And you need to go get a free 30-day trial after hearing this. So there are 7 CJ Stroud cards that we have run through our raw to grade formula at nooffseason.com. And I'm going to tell you which one you shouldn't buy. And then 6 that you could buy in the order which you should buy them. And the data is what you need to pay attention to here. Not my opinion, but the data. So CJ Stroud's 2023 Prism Green Wave 339 raw. All the calculations tell us this is a losing formula. Basically, the odds are that you will lose 7% if you buy that card raw and grade it. Now, there's better options. So CJ Stroud's 2023 Prism Laser raw 339 is $140 buy-in point. So it's $18 less. Same gem rate, a little bit more upside in a PSA 10, $300, and a little bit more upside in a PSA 9, 118. So because of that, you can make a whopping 6%. More upside, you go to CJ Stroud's 2023 302 rookie variation silver. It's a higher buy-in point, $250 raw, but a $660 upside in a PSA 10 and $210 in a PSA 9. So the floor is okay. You don't lose that much. The gem rate is much lower, though. So even though there's higher upside in a PSA 10, the formula only says it's a 10% likely profit. So moving along, we want a little bit more profit. So if we go to CJ Stroud's 2023 Optic 244 base, it's a $12 card. It's a $12 card. Only $73 in a PSA 10, but it has a solid gem rate, 53%. It sells for $27 in a PSA 9, so you don't get murdered. That is a 25% ROI. So if you were listening to this and you're like, man, Paul, I don't have $158, $140 to buy these raw cards, that's fine. If you've got $12 and you can grade it, and don't forget, you can grade it through me at nooffseason.com, being a premium member, $25 a card, avoid minimums, avoid shipping, avoid max value, all that stuff. You can make 25% on that Optic raw CJ Stroud. All right, you want to make a little bit more profit? I do too. CJ Stroud's 2023 Optic Hollow 244 goes for $212 raw, 65% gem rate, $500 in a PSA 10, $174 in a PSA 9. That yields a 32% likely ROI on the CJ Stroud 2023 Optic Hollow raw to grade play. But even better than that is only a $14 card right now. Now, this is typically more of a $20 to $25 card, but a $14 recent comp brings it down to where that's what the target cost should be. CJ Stroud's 2023 Prism Base 339 raw, $14, $109 upside in a PSA 10, still selling for over $30 in a PSA 9, 44% gem rate though, so it's harder to gem, but a 51% ROI based on that lower buy-in comp. All right, now the number one CJ Stroud card to make money on, due to the fact that it is dipped raw. It's dipped raw a little bit, which is interesting. Could be due to condition on the comp. You know, we got to throw that out there. Could be due to condition. But when there is a comp, that becomes the target cost. So the formula triggers it to say, look, now there's a 74% ROI upside to try and get a CJ Stroud 2023 Prism Silver raw for as close to the $245 target cost as possible. It sells for $968 most recent in a PSA 10, although many of those are going for much higher than that. Some at Fanatics Fest were going for $1,100 cash, $258 in a PSA 9. So 45% gem rate, that's a 74% ROI on that. So you've got a lot of ways to make money on CJ Stroud raw to grade right now, and I think he's one of those players that is so hyped up and has performed so well that there's so much juice, gas, fire behind him, momentum behind him, that even if your card's at PSA, while you could have sold it, I think you're going to do well on CJ Stroud raw to grade, because even if he falls flat on his face or gets injured, his cards are going to come back at some point. And even if he starts off the year hot and you miss selling opportunities while they're at PSA, that's still not going to be bad for you, because whenever you get them back, you're going to be able to sell them for a profit. So before I hit you guys with the outro, I want to give a shout out to my guy, Lefty McKee, and to the formula. I alluded to it at the start of the show. Gardner Minshew, recently named the Las Vegas Raiders starting quarterback. Lefty loves Minshew, Minshew mania. So I would list your Gardner Minshew cards right now. The formula told you to buy in at around $20 on his base Prism PSA 10s. Those things are going to go right now. There's one that has 11 bids with 7 minutes left at $46. So that's definitely going to go for around $60. Nice 3X there, courtesy of the formula. Hopefully you bought in. You're welcome. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me here on the Sports Card Strategy Show. More great stuff to come at nooffseason.com and later this week. Have a great day. Thanks so much for being here with us on the Sports Card Strategy Show. To connect with us further, please subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. Please also give us a follow on Instagram at Sports Card Strategy and on X at nooffseasoncard. We also have a Discord that you could join at sportscardstrategy.com. Everyone, I'm Paul Hickey. For the rest of us here at nooffseason.com, have a great day. We'll see you again soon.